dealing with depression, dealing with anxiety from a young age, and watching it kind of come in and out of my life. And, I had a son, and at the time, I believe when I left LinkedIn, he was about turned 3. It was a lot. It was a lot going on. I was constantly traveling on the road, flying out on a Sunday night and right out to Dublin or to Sao Paulo and coming back on a Friday morning to make sure that I was there to go pick him up and get him for the weekend and fly out again. Wouldn't trade it for the world because the experience was incredible of seeing the world. But my goal was to never, ever make him or put him in a situation where he didn't see me, because that was my time. I had him every weekend. And I would just, when I look at it, it was just a lot that was happening personally. And, I don't openly talk about depression and anxiety, but it is a very, very real thing that a lot of people deal with and they live with. And it was something that I was open about at LinkedIn with a few of the leaders when I was exploring leaving. And that was the beauty of LinkedIn, is that they were open to that kind of conversation. Like, they want to encourage you to do what's best for you. And I remember sitting there with, guys like Mark Dick, who was my manager at the time, who was an incredible guy, Brian Frank, others, even Jeff, Mike Gamson, and talking about this and always saying it was never about the money, me wanting to leave LinkedIn. It was about me thinking that I wanted to go build something. I wanted to go start something new and try something again. But in reality was, and I didn't really see it or know at the time, but like I was so unhappy within myself, right? I was showing up to work every day. I was doing all this stuff, but I had my own things that I had to take care of that I wasn't taking care of. And that decision to leave felt right? The advice I saw, people that I talked to. And ultimately what ended up happening was I made the decision to leave to go to Percolate. It was this awesome marketing software platform that would help companies, automate the process through all their channels of, pushing out their marketing plans. And there were people that I knew that were going there. And ultimately what I felt was, I'm doing this for the wrong reasons. I'm doing this because I'm trying to not deal with issues that I'm having. I'm going to work, showing up every day at LinkedIn, but something was missing in my life, and it was me, right? All the times that you and I worked together, like, I was always there. You and I had some of the realest conversations ever, but I don't think I showed it, that I was struggling on the inside. So leaving LinkedIn, the hardest decision I ever made professionally, and, because of amazing relationships, the people I had met, the lives that I helped change, the lives that had changed me, to leave was incredibly hard, but I thought it was the right thing. Sometimes you always hear, change is good. Change wasn't good at that time. Change was always good. But at the time it wasn't, because I just wasn't there yet. I wasn't me where I needed to be. So, Percolate was a great opportunity, to kind of go and explore something new and scale and build out a new team, overseeing sales dev and their sales teams on the mid-market. And like everything else out there in this world, sometimes things don't work and sometimes they do. And that one to me just wasn't the right fit for me. And what I realized was that, I have this amazing background that I had at LinkedIn, and I didn't want to do something if I didn't want to do it. And not in a stubborn way or like in an ego way, but to me it was about, look, if I'm here at this company, like if there's other things that I want to do, but what started the click was that I wasn't happy. I didn't know what to do. And I was going to all the courses, the avenues of, therapy and all that kind of fun stuff. But I just knew that if I don't take care of me, I'm never going to be my best self. I'm not going to be able to do the job that people expect me to do at that level that I had done it at LinkedIn. So I went to Facebook, again, because to me, I was there. I felt out of my league, right? For the first time, I really felt like, I don't know if I should be doing this like this, but I knew what I offered, and I knew that I could kick down doors, and I accepted that. And I knew that maybe I wasn't the right fit, because I am who I am, right? And I think over time, it was just not the right opportunity, not the right fit for me. So that was part of the journey, right? That was the moment of kind of like, what are we doing here? And the realest part of all of this is that I was going through some of the hardest times of my life, right? And I tried to show up the best way that I could. And I don't want to make excuses for anything, right? But like, we all have our lives and the things that we have to deal with. But it was a very, very hard time. And all I wanted to do was to show up as best as I could. I remember being told once, it's like when you deal with depression and anxiety, you're not waking up the day out of bed at ground level. You are starting that day 20 feet underneath, right? 50 feet underground. And you got to come up and get above that. And there were so many times in my life where we were good, right? But you just never knew when it was going to come. So I had to figure that out. I had to learn how to get through that. I am not a magician, right? So you have to do all the right things. And at the time when I was at Facebook, I was like, okay, like I am struggling here with this, right? This isn't a me and a Facebook thing. This is a me thing. And I felt scared to articulate that. I felt scared to be open and say, here's what I'm dealing with. And I had done it before in my past. And I had some very supportive people in a professional sense that were like, what can we do to help you? What do you need? And that is empowering. And then at Facebook, kind of the same thing, right? It's like I talked to people that were on my team about this and others, and I wasn't there. I wasn't where I needed to be. And I think ultimately what ends up happening is that you put this mask on, right? You kind of just show up and you go to work. And Brendan, man, I was struggling, right? Like it's just, depression is real, and I was anxious to talk about it on this, but it's such a part of who we are. And, I feel like a lot of what I just spoke about, obviously there's some great stuff about like LinkedIn and the process, how I got to where I got to, but to me, ultimately, like for that period of time after LinkedIn, this is what that experience was. It was dealing with this and trying to figure it out, because there were other things that were happening with my life personally, and plus the depression, plus the changes, you couldn't keep your head above water. And all I know that I needed to do is that I needed to make money. And like we all do. And so ultimately what I just realized is like, look, like let's try to fight this out, right? There was this idea of what bandits could be always kind of lingering since, 14, and now we're almost in like 16, 17. And, I knew I wasn't there yet. There's no way I could juggle both and do both things and put all in efforts on one and not the other and vice versa. So it just wasn't the right time for bandits to be what it could have been or could be. And I had to figure myself out. And that stuff doesn't happen over time, right? So when I went to Hearst after Facebook, a guy by the name of Mike DeLuca, who is just absolutely an incredible human being, they had reached out to me about an opportunity there. And he used to work at Yahoo again. So again, that connection, the doors, and all the people that we meet in our lives, for better or for worse, like it all plays itself together. And got a chance to work with him directly because I didn't really at Yahoo. And he was somebody, and I think, I look at my life, you think about like things that you love that you did, things that you didn't like that you did. The opportunity at Hearst was amazing, right? It's Hearst. It's a mammoth. It's a huge company, lots of different, things going on there. And I have this guy that is just an incredible leader, incredible sales leader, everything. And I couldn't step up. I was traveling a lot. I was on the road all the time. Like flights were getting canceled coming back from wherever I was, to go help train sales teams there. And it was impacting me in a different way, right? With my son, and nothing negative, right? Just not being able to get home on a Friday night is devastating to me, right? It's just, as a parent, your children are everything. And, to know that was my time with him, like to miss, a night, right? To be able to put him to bed, read him a book, get up the next day and like be there with him versus staying in a hotel. It did not happen to me when I was at LinkedIn. It just seemed to kind of keep happening, not keep, but it happened enough when I was with Hearst. And that moment happened where I was like, I can't do this anymore. I am struggling. I need to work on me, because I wasn't, I knew it was coming in and out. I remember having a very real conversation with him on a weekend. And, I was like, Mike, I can't make it down. There's other things going on here. And there were. And I remember just asking me, he was like, are you happy? I said, no. He's like, do you really want to do this? And I was like, yeah, but no, I'm not okay, and, this is years ago. And the idea of that with Mike is that he was just so supportive. And so to me, I feel like I let him down, like I failed him. But ultimately it's like, look, I am not okay. Like I am struggling with depression. I started putting on weight, right? I'd always been kind of 200 pounds. I'm like 6'3.5", 6'4". But I remember that. And I felt that as a failure in myself. I felt like I failed. And I started to feel this, like I was failing. When you go from something that is like the epitome of what you want within your career, that peak of the mountain, right? When I was at LinkedIn, it's hard to not have an ego throughout life after that. And I don't think I've ever been somebody that had an ego. I've always been somebody that just believed in myself. And what happened was that I stopped believing in myself. And that's what, kind of started the spiral. And that's why there was this journey, right? It was almost like a journeyman approach. Same way you see with athletes, where they go from a team to a team to a team because they love it so much. But for whatever it is, they just kind of can't stick it out for whatever that reason might be. And that's how I saw it, and at least especially after it was kind of done. And I said to myself, I said, you know what? I said, I want to do this business. I want to figure out what this model is going to be. And I'd taken some time after Hearst. And, I had a great opportunity to go to the Muse and kind of, again, just, get a job there, meet people like Catherine Minshew and other amazing leaders and try to help them with their sales training. And I knew the value that I could add there. But it wasn't me. I wasn't there yet. Like, Viju, my partner, I started talking about bandits, started hashing out ideas for what we could do. We talked about, hey, could we be a sales training company, like go in and deliver and use his design work and expertise there. And I was just like, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't want to compete at that level. I mean, there's such amazing trainings that are out there. And to me, it wasn't about like me having this framework. Hey, you do this, this, and that. You are going to decrease your sales cycle. You're going to increase your, profits. But I knew that I could walk into a room and inspire people. So to me, it was two different things. And I was like, sales training is not what I want to be doing. I like inspiration. So had a, amazing opportunity with the Muse and did that for a bit. And just, there were a lot of different things that played there and just wasn't the right fit for me. Went over to the opportunity with Talibest again, just because, I needed to keep working and I liked the people that were there and I wanted to do good. But the irony is that I still wasn't there yet. I was on this journey of trying to get myself better and get out of this depression and not get out of it, like snap my fingers, okay, goodbye, right? Been dealing with it since I was 13. But I knew that if I didn't try to understand why it's impacting me so negatively, impacting things in my life where I'm like shutting off. I always shut up for my son, but I was shutting off from the folks that mattered to me the most. And I didn't like who I was becoming. So 60 pounds later, in between the Muse and Talibest, I just was not exercising. I was eating. The amount of Papa John orders at that time on my Steam list were ridiculous. And I remember looking at it one day and being like, holy shit, I have ordered Papa John's X amount of times over the course of 2016 and 17. This has got to stop. So it was right between leaving the Muse and going to Talibest, I was like, focus on you. You have to. Like, I just was putting it off. I was dealing with a lot of different things. And I just started hitting the gym again. And I started getting myself back into this routine. And I just got myself out of this hole and started thinking about what's really most important to me. And I knew that Bandits was looming. I knew that we were kind of honing in on what this idea could be. And it was about me. I had to be selfish. I had to get myself there and to better understand what I was dealing with and how to deal with it. And ultimately, I knew my routines. I knew that dropping my son off at his mom's on Sunday night, were incredibly challenging, and that consumed me, and I let it to consume me. So I started putting focus on that. Like Sunday nights, I need to kind of be left alone for a bit at the time, right? Monday mornings, I had to get up early and go to the gym. I had to start doing these types of things that just helped me feel like me again. And man, I dropped those 60 pounds real quick, and it felt incredible. I remember my doctor going for the physical, and she was just like, "What did you do?" And I was like, "You really want to know?" And she started laughing. I was like, "No." I said, "I just started exercise." And I said, "I started getting back into it." And I said, "I started to find myself again." And it's a wild thing to kind of lose sight of yourself, right? You always look at resumes and you see people at job hop and done this job and done that job and what have you. And, I remember years ago interviewing folks, I'm like, "Why'd you do this job? Why'd you do that job? Why'd you move so quickly?" And nobody could really answer it properly. And the ones that did, and the ones that were genuine with it, I'm like, "All right, I think we'll hire you," right? Because you give them that opportunity. And I was always so worried about that. There's this run of just these different companies, and people know, people don't know, but I lost myself. I forgot what was the most important to me. I stuck to my past to try to cling to my future, And I was like, "Well, I did this at LinkedIn. I did this at LinkedIn." And ultimately I was falling apart. It's just, there was a lot of things happening, obviously being a single parent and, going through a divorce and all kinds of stuff. It's not good for anybody on either side. It sucks. Nobody wants to go through it. And, that stuff just takes time, and the depression and all that kind of stuff. It took its toll, and I couldn't get out of the hole. And then one day it was just kind of like things had to change. Like, it's in us. We all have it. It's a matter of, do you want to stay there listening to Mumford and Sons, or do you want to get up at 6 a.m., put on your gym playlist and get going? And I just couldn't do that. And one day I just remember the night I was putting together this playlist and I was feeling it. I'm like, "Okay, this is some good stuff here. Let's get this moving. Let's get it going." And I remember setting my alarm, and I woke up and I was like, "Let's go." And that was that. And so I was working at Televest. Viju, my partner, and I had always been talking about bandits in the background, and we had this idea, and we knew it was ready. We knew it was good based off of our experience. So it was just a matter of time. And so once the stars started to align, I had some freedom and some weight taken off my shoulders in 2018 that allowed me to go be me again. And the pressures of going through a lot of different things within a divorce and stuff of that nature, I was like, okay, there's this dark cloud that's no longer here. Evan's mom and I, my son, his mom and I had always worked to try to make sure that, everything we did was in the best interest for him. But it still sucks. The divorce is never good for anybody. And it was a long time. And once that weight was lifted, I just felt like me again. I felt like me, the guy who was getting up at 4 a.m. to go to the Empire State Building to run a meeting for the MIA team. The guy that was just walking down the hallways of the Sao Paulo office and just smiling and like helping people and listening and talking with them. And, the one who was in Dublin, right, with you, and like just talking at night, 9, 10 o'clock in the office or at a bar, I felt like me again. And it was incredible, man. And it was just, I had that opportunity, like I mentioned before, to go speak at Cycle for Survival, to talk about my mom and who she was as a person. And I was fortunate because I believe in this, with Facebook, right? The experience I had and working with some amazing people and learning so much from them, that getting the package that I had gotten, meeting people like Sudie McKeenum, who just became such a dear friend of mine, who I did or do Cycle for Survival with. And she was the one that got me to be able to speak in front of everybody. These relationships come and go, right? Some of them matter. Like, LinkedIn always says relationships matter. Sometimes they don't, right? We walk past people all the time. We'll never even know them. But it all plays itself out. It's a matter of how you want to let it be played out, right? It's not over yet, this journey. But what it did was that it allowed me to go through some of the hardest years of my life dealing with this depression. I've never felt better the last 2 years, give or take. It's been me again. And I understand it better now. You go through therapy, you find the things that make it work for you. And when I tell you, it's like, I look back on this life and I think there are some things that I absolutely regret, and wish I could have done differently or done better. But I completely accept the fact that I lost myself, and I lost. But at the same time, like, I needed that. I needed to hit that point to realize, well, hey, you got to fix this. Because it's not only about me anymore, right? There's a little guy here that absolutely adores me, that I adore more than anything in this life. And going back to the support, right? I have this amazing family and amazing friends. We don't see each other the way we used to, but it's crucial. And I owe it not just to myself, but to everybody that has been by me to fight through this. And, it's do you run away from it or you run right into it, right? It's like throwing yourself forward or throwing yourself backwards. And I think I just became very stale and started to fall. And then a couple of years later, I found it. I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's do this.